Curry won 4 championships. Two brothers believe that one day humankind can travel through air. Before the 60, you will be crazy to believe that one day mankind will be able to go to the moon. A lot of great things are happening today because few people believe that certain things were impossible. And so today on this episode, we're going to be talking about doing the impossible. Okay, so on today's podcast, we'll be talking about doing the possible, and stay until the very end because we will be giving you guys steps, practical things that we've used that help us to be doing the impossible. And so today we'll be covering the book Doing the Impossible by Patrick David. But like always, join the one and only Qynton Davis. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing absolutely amazing today. It's been a great day, and I'm just ready to get into this conversation.
Right. It's been a great day. This is it's a great book, bro. I remember reading this book, jumping here and there, just being excited, right, about the different ideas, right, the book has. And so what are some of your takeaway from this book?
So I have a few takeaways actually. So I'll go through 5 right now. The first one is before you formulate an identity, you have to decide what you're building towards. The second is honor your word. The third one is good things come to those who wait, but only that which is left behind by those who hustled. The fourth one is laziness stems from boredom. And that's something that probably could elaborate on a little bit later. The fifth one is the fact that people typically change when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change.
Sheesh, bro. That is so good. I really like the last one that you gave, right? So most of the time people give up because that pain, sorry for using the word again, but that pain is so painful that they don't want to go through it and they decide to give up, right? And so which one actually resonates with you the most that you're like, wow, this is good stuff?
Honestly, I could say the third one, right? So the good things that come, good things come to those who wait, but only that which is left behind by those who hustled. Which pretty much, it just signifies the fact that you really have to go after what you want. You can't really just sit around waiting to receive certain things when, in actuality, the people who actually are hungry are taking the things that you want, and then you're just left complaining
Left with nothing,
about,
yeah. Exactly.
you're just left complaining about like why things aren't going your way because you didn't put in the work to get it. You know what I mean?
So you don't put in the work, you get no reward, right? And so few things that really I truly like about the book. He says those who want to achieve the impossible understand that to become great you have to push the envelope. Something else that I like, it says the following: accomplishing the impossible in life is a journey with many smaller destinations. One more thing that I like is if you look at anything, growth comes from resistance. I'm going to say that again. Growth comes for resistance, right? And so I kind of have a little story, right, to speak on that point, which is I remember when I was in my undergrad, we had this class called business finance. Yeah, it's called business finance, right? And so I remember walking into the midterm exam, and you know what, pretty confident that I'm gonna get a good grade. So I wrote the exam, And I think I probably walk out of the class slightly early, right? Because, just confident that, yeah, I know this exam, right? So the exam come and the teacher say the lowest grade was, I think, a 64%. And I was like, huh, yeah, that's, that is not me, right? That is not me. And sure enough, I was the first person to be called. I was
Oh no.
like,
Oh
oh
brother.
no. So then she folded the paper. I was like, yeah, this is not a good sign, right? So then
Whenever they fold the paper, you know there's something to hide.
yeah, right. I had to like open the paper on the side. And I was like, yeah, I was that guy. I was that guy. I was like, dang, this hurt, right? So, so then, the semester, we continue with the semester and all that. And so at some point, it was obviously, right, you had to have a final exam, right? So I'm like, I need a B. I need a B to maintain to have a good GPA, right, at the end of the semester. And so for me to have the B, you know what I needed? I needed at least a 94% on the final exam. Bro, we're talking about the final exam, 94. And all right, well, we're
Sheesh.
going to do the impossible, right? We're going to do a comeback. Gonna do a comeback, right? So I'm out there. It's time to obviously prepare for the exam, right? I start studying usual hours, afternoon, studying, grinding, working. Like probably that is might be the first, not necessarily the first time, but among the few times that I really want like hard, right? So I'm out there grinding. I get tired. I go back to the dorm, shower, and then walk back to I think the library, study till late at night. Very tired, eyes heavy because of lack of sleep. Woke up super early morning, studying for a group of friends. Walking towards the exam room, still with the paper and notes. Start reading, studying, breakfast, studying. Even as people were getting in the exam room, still studying. Bro, I've never done such things before. For me, I'm on the mindset of like, you know what? Once I'm done studying, that's it. I get in the exam mode. But you know what? I'm like, I need to do the impossible, right? And so I need to do something different, right? So walk in the exam room. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty easy. And then within I think 2 hours, I was done. I was done with the exam. I was like, oh, now let me just stay here a little bit more. And so I continue reading the question, and then something clicked in my mind, like, whoa, you messed up a question that was worth like 10 points. So I decided to make the correction. I think it had to do with feature value, make those adjustments, and then walk out of the class feeling pretty confident, right? And then guess what? I did the
What happened?
impossible. I think
Yes,
I
sir.
got, yeah, I think I got like a 94%. Got a
Oh, exactly
94%.
what you needed.
Exactly what I needed. Got my B for the class, and my GPA was straight, right? And so that's just like a little story that I had, just based on the whole concept of like doing the possible, right? And then obviously, as promised, we're going to go into different steps on how you can do the impossible, right? But one thing about so the very first thing about doing the impossible is that you kind of have to push yourself to the limit, right? And probably that's something we can talk a little bit more later on. But Q, I know, I mean, probably folks that are listening to us not necessarily know what you're all about, right? You have a dream that is slowly becoming a reality, right? And so just looking at you practicing and putting in the work, the financial commitment, the time commitment, saying no to certain opportunities just because you're locked in into what you want to achieve, right? It just testify of how dedicated you are to your goal, right? And of course, like we talk a lot about your why, right? Could you tell us about like what really drives you to do what you do?
No, absolutely. I would say that The thing that probably drives me the most, because I'm already like naturally like an ambitious person and like a driven person,
Yeah.
but outside of like just naturally what God gave me is the purpose behind what I have, what I'm doing, basically. It's like there was a quote by, I think it was like Mark Zuckerberg, right? Where he was talking about how, the whole process behind building Facebook. And he was saying, if you don't truly have a deeper purpose behind what you're building, then don't become an entrepreneur. Now, granted, entrepreneurship is a little bit different from going into the professional sports world, but it's kind of similar in the terms of like you still have to build up towards reaching a certain level, right? So in the times in which like, because on the grind, right, it's a grind. For those of y'all that don't know, I'm in the professional baseball world, and to give you guys a little bit of
God Q.
let's give you guys a little bit of a look on what life is like within that. It's games pretty much every single day without really knowing whether or not you're ever going to make it to the highest level. You're barely even getting paid at these levels. So I'm in like the minor like independent type leagues, right? And again, you really don't get paid until you make it to the major leagues. So you just have to like grind, survive. There's going to be some long, hard nights where it's just like, why am I still doing this? There's going to be nights where it's like, am I really cut out for this? Like, but when those thoughts kind of come to the mind, it always has to go back to the central purpose behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. And typically that helps me to go through those different times.
Yeah, so on your journey, right, to go to the league, obviously, that bro, and I 100% going to make it, right? But on your journey, right, towards making it to the league, have you run into some people, some friends who also had the same ambition like you?
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're there, pretty much everybody has the exact same mindset. Like they
Okay,
want to make it to the league.
right. And so, did any one of them, like, already some folks who drop out?
Yeah, a few did, sadly.
Okay.
Sadly.
So then, what would you say is the difference between those who stayed, right, trusting the process, and those who drop out? What was the difference?
Well, a big thing is like genuinely loving what you do. Like in the our previous conversation, right? We talked about having your focus on the process instead of being hyper focused on the end goal. And I find that the people who have like enjoyment in the actual process typically last longer than those who are really just in it for the cheese, for the cheddar. You know what I mean? Just like having like a drive and a deeper purpose, whether or not it be like external circumstances of I need to make this money to get my family out of this situation, or I need to make this money to, uh, get make this happen. Or it doesn't even have to be about money, but just having some like deeper purpose typically helps. Is what I find with a lot of the people that have stayed, other than the people who are really just in it for the kicks.
Yeah, because this journey is not for the weak of soul. You have to be strong.
For
You have
sure.
to have a deeper sense of purpose, right?
Mhm.
And so, the on the third point of what people or what I've seen help me to be able to achieve what I've been able to do. Although, right, there's never a finish line. We keep on pressing right towards the mark. But looking back at the little achievement, I mean not little, but certain things I was able to do is because of having people around me who hold me accountable, right? And so you and I and if another brother, we just hold each other accountable, right? Could you just talk about like the whole process, what we're doing, and also what people can do right now, right, in order to implement that same strategy and that could help them get result tomorrow.
Yeah, so pretty much what we do, right, is that we get together once a week just to kind of talk about like our goals for the week, how we did in the goals in the previous week, and what we plan to do better, right? I think the key there is just like the consistency, right? Because we've met every week for the past year and a half, right? And with that, I'm sure that you can attest to the fact that the place in which we're at now compared to where we were at a year and a half ago is significantly better because in part of the other people who have goals and aspirations pushing each other just to achieve our goals and aspirations. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. What was the second question you asked?
What is it that people can act right now, right? Because we truly want to be practical, right? We just don't want to be out here giving theories and letting people hanging, right? So, what are things that people can implement right now that they can get result as soon as possible?
If you find somebody that is also driven, if you find somebody who also has an aspiration and it's a person of character, and I think that that's a key thing too, being being with people of character. Ask them to be an accountability partner, and then after that, just be very consistent in maybe one time a week, two times a week. I mean, we do one time a week, but it's really just meeting on a regular basis. Um, just kind of like going through different goals that you guys may have and being able to kind of hold each other accountable to make sure that the goals are done. Now it is really key again that it is a person who has goals of their own because then it will be like a mutual exchange and it won't just be the person feeling like they're shortchanged because they're only holding you accountable and they have nothing for you to hold them accountable.
Right. It will be very weird, right? We're just
Yeah,
talking
it'd
about
be a
your
strange
God, and
dynamic.
yeah, the other person was like,
To be your cheerleader.
exactly. Yeah, you absolutely do not want that, right? Because as we know, iron sharpened iron, right? So you know what? There's actually a book, You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and he was talking about seeing somebody, right? Seeing somebody, and I'll never forget that because he said we were we had the same beast in us, but we were different animals. Oof. Bro, we were the same beast, but in different animals, right? So you can just identify somebody, right, who has that dog in you, that drive in you, although you might be slightly different, right? And start engaging in those conversations. And the last thing, this is the bonus part, right? About ways in which you can start doing the possible. Again, you cannot improve that which you cannot track. You cannot improve that which you cannot track, right? So, on your process to doing the possible, start tracking down every single thing, right? How many times do you spend on social media? How many times do you spend in the shower? How many times do you spend at work? Start tracking everything because, again, that which you cannot track, you cannot improve. And that's something that you said in one of the podcasts. You said, sorry, I'm not quoting you directly, but the idea was that the difference between professionals and amateur athlete is the details, right? The little details. And so, do you have like an experience in which you've been very you pay so much attention into improving one particular thing? And if so, what was the end result?
In my content, I would say in my creating of content, right? So like with the what we have going on right now as well as like my own personal thing. One thing that I've looked to improve on is just like I mean, when it comes to like creating content, it's like, right. It's like it's kind of like a journey to where it's like you have to master one particular thing at a time before you move on to the next thing. So, one example of one thing that I've had is just pacing. Right, pacing is very very important in creating content. You don't want to have a really, really, really exciting beginning, and then the rest of the video is just cheeks. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Like
so
putting people to sleep with the rest of your
yeah,
content, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, everybody's staying for their first minute, and then after that is just like, oh wow. So,
Peace.
yeah, um, with YouTube, it's like they pay based off, or they reward you based off of how long the people stay on the video. So, really, just having like a focus on like what is what types of things do people keeps people basically, what types of things make people want to stay around and watch until the end, and kind of just studying that. And as I've gone on, like, gotten better with that. But yeah, once mastery is reached, then that's when I look to move on to the second thing, or the next thing I should say.
Fantastic. And so, bro, we need to leave, right, this conversation with giving information to people so that they can start executing right now, right? And so the first takeaway, guys, is that in your journey, on your journey, right, to do the impossible, number one, push beyond your threshold of pain, right? Go one more step behind. Number two, as Qynton said, have a deeper why, right? Understand why you're doing what you're doing. The third thing, have people that will hold you accountable. Very key. And then the last thing is measure every single thing, because you cannot improve that which you do not measure.
I think it's really easy to think that you can make it on your own, but
Mm.
you gotta tap in to iron. If you're iron, you gotta tap into other iron, because iron sharpens iron. You feel what I'm saying?
100%, bro. 100%. Iron sharpen iron. You can feed on the energy of somebody else, right? And so one day you can have your other partner can have more energy than you, but then him just sharing that energy energize you again. So yeah, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, was there anything else that you had before we wrap up?
Well, that's pretty much it. But before we wrap up, right, guys, go in the comment section and then just type what is it that you're going to implement this week. Starting this week, you'll be like, Simon Q, this is what I'm going to do. Go in the comment section and tell us. We really want to know what are some strategies that you guys will be implementing right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while you do it, close to the comment section is always also the like button. If y'all could like the video. And again, appreciate y'all for coming through, and hope that you guys found some value, and hope that the principles that Sam aptly described in the video will lead to massive progressions in the future. So appreciate y'all, and keep being a part of the 1%.